Hello everyone! By now we are all aware of the Mercedes Vito, alright? It's one of the most popular competitor of the Volkswagen Transporter. Mercedes Vito is also a famous competitor here in the EU market, one of the top choices. But many people don't seem to know what is the classic model of the Mercedes Vito. Did it have an ancestor model? This is the ancestor model of the Mercedes Vito. I'm going to tell you all a brief story about Mercedes and the Mercedes Vito and how Mercedes ended up with this. Long time ago, since Mercedes was formed, right before the World Wars and even after the World Wars and even during the World Wars, Mercedes earned a reputation for massive engines. So they were basically good with utility vehicles and cars that had a massive engine. So basically, avoid economy cars. It was all about limousines. Then in the 1960s, Mercedes had a little problem. They had to compete in the mid-sized segment. They had to compete in the small van segment, the lightweight utility vehicles segment. They needed some expertise in this, and this is where Hanomag got involved. Hanomag is a German car manufacturer that went extinct long ago, but they specialized in lightweight vehicles, and they had something going with another German company called Tempo. They also went extinct, but they specialized in lightweight vehicles. They even had three-wheelers. Now the thing is, Mercedes never talks about this vehicle that much. I don't really know why. I've been to the Mercedes Museum in Stuttgart and I saw no trace of this. Is Mercedes embarrassed about this, or is Mercedes just thinking that this was an unnecessary bit of history? You all be the judge. This is what helped Mercedes compete in the lightweight utility vehicles segment, guys, especially when it came to mid-sized vans. Mercedes had no problem with large vans and trucks. Now I'm going to tell you all some very interesting things you need to know about this Mercedes 206D. Yes, first thing you all will say is that this is a direct competitor to the Volkswagen Transporter of that era, for which you all are correct, and there is a very, very prominent advantage. Volkswagen Transporter had everything mechanical at the rear. It was a rear-wheel drive, but the engine itself was literally at the rear as well. With Mercedes and Hanomag, everything was situated at the front. The engine is at the front, and the engine gives power to the front wheels. Meaning, the back is like a trolley. So imagine I'm the engine, there's a trolley behind me, I have to pull the trolley. I'm the steering, I get to steer wherever I go. And the trolley follows me, but the trolley is responsible for carrying the goods in the back. This is the philosophy of front-wheel drive cars, and this is what proved successful for Hanomag, guys. The biggest advantage Hanomag enjoyed over Volkswagen Transporter and other competitors is that, you see, because this is a front-wheel drive, the engine is at the front, I get so much space over here that I can do multiple things with it. That's why it was so easy to have a caravan version of it, a camper van version. It was so easy to have a long version, you know, an extra long version, you see? Just look at how much space there is. This is what defines utility segment, guys. Sometimes in the utility segment, it's important to consider certain aspects like space, the volume, guys. Those little details change everything. This is why the Volkswagen Transporter only saw success as a private vehicle, as a private van or something. But they didn't really see much success that time when it came to light duty services, like in the logistics world, for example. Yes, let's not get too excited, guys. There is also a flaw. The biggest flaw would be speed, guys. The Mercedes and the Hanomag, these vans were known to not be very fast, and they were known to be pretty sluggish. Now guys, I have to make a confession that this is the first time I've ever stood next to it. I've always, since childhood, been obsessed with this van, but I never really studied it in detail. This is the first time I had a chance to stand next to it. And I'm going to confess, it looks bigger than what I had imagined. All right, everyone, so looking at the Mercedes 206D exterior. Now, this is a traditional Mercedes model name. So whenever Mercedes would add a D at the end, this would signify diesel, guys. And when it comes to diesel, I know very well Mercedes is very proud of it, their diesel engines. Now, it should be noted that this is a fully restored Mercedes 206D, also known as Hanomag Henschel. It's a fully restored one. Originally, it was green, guys, but look at this. They've done a really good job restoring this one. Looks amazing. Looks very interesting. Those wheels look just as interesting as well, you know, guys. It's very nice. Look at underneath, guys, the mechanical components. Underneath the Mercedes 206. Look at it from this angle, guys. Look right there, guys. Now, that's really interesting sighting. It's all rusty, but hey, it doesn't matter. That was the most Hanomag thing ever. In fact, this is not bad, guys, because Tempo was even worse. In fact, I've read many forums about Tempo, and these cars went extinct very fast everywhere because rust was a serious problem. In fact, the interior of this Mercedes 206D, also known as Hanomag. But before doing so, I just want to show you guys how this door looks. Look at it. It's like a sheet of paper. It's so narrow. If you listen to the sound of the door, here. Okay, now let's try opening it. If you listen to the sound carefully, it doesn't sound Mercedes-ish, and that's also another thing I'm trying to talk about, guys. If you listen to a Mercedes van or Mercedes car, they have a really prominent sound when you open and close their door. But if you listen to the sound of this, it sounds like you're opening or closing the door of a ship cabin or something. Now it is time to explore the interior of this Mercedes 206D, also known as Hanomag, as I keep saying. Oh, no handle up there. Okay, I'll just manage. I think you have to rely on the steering wheel. Now, before I continue, this is my first time ever sitting in this. I've been obsessed with this, with these vans, and this is my first time ever sitting in one. So it's a very special moment, guys. So yes, interior quite nice, guys. The engine is right here underneath this, and we're gonna look at it in a moment, guys. And then down there would be our handbrake. And I know that Mercedes, classic Mercedes vehicles always had something going on with their handbrake down there. And it's very interesting. So no door pocket, guys, but it should be noted that there's a lot of space right here. Steering wheel is nice and big, 2-spoke. Make no mistakes, power steering was very rare to find at that time, so it doesn't surprise me that this steering wheel is big. Yep. Whereas in today, the Mercedes Vito has a rather car-like steering wheel, but that's because power steering wheel does a lot of work. All right, guys, we're gonna take a look at the engine. Whoa! This is a 4-cylinder Mercedes engine, a straight 4-cylinder. Wow. It's interesting. And the battery is right underneath the driver's seat, guys. Here's my conclusion of the Mercedes 206D, everyone, also known as Hanomag. My conclusion is that this is a classic lightweight utility vehicle that is lost in time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos that are on the run, everyone. And stay tuned for part 2, everyone, because in part 2, I'm going to have a lot to say about my sentimental feelings for the Mercedes 206D. Or should I say Hanomag Henschel.